Hey there everyone. So this time around I'll be reviewing a slipcase box of 3 of Neil Gaiman's storybooks which feature Chris Riddell's art. Now if you know me, you probably know that I'm a big fan of Neil Gaiman, and Neil Gaiman has worked on multiple books with Chris Riddell as an illustrator, and I think they make a fantastic duo working on their books. So I'll get into these. So the books in this are the Coraline, Fortunately the Milk, and the Graveyard Book. All 3 of them are by Neil Gaiman, and this is the slipcase, as you can see. So the front and the back have the same cover art, but there is some internal illustration in all of the books as well. So I think the least illustrated book is the Graveyard Book, if I'm not wrong. But I've read this a few years back, so I don't exactly remember. So this is the Carnegie medal winner, Neil Gaiman, Coraline. Coraline is, so I'll give you the blurb here. Hopefully you can pause and read that if you want. Coraline is categorized generally as a children's book, but I think that depends on how you look at it. I mean, children would probably look at it one way, but there's a huge amount of content that's meant specifically for adults, and I think Neil Gaiman intended it to be that way. So I'll show you if there is any artwork here. So yeah, very nice, interesting artworks there. So Coraline is basically about this small girl called Coraline who is bored with her life, and then what she does with it. It's a very interesting story, and I frankly think it's a very, very good book. I think everyone, whether you're an adult or whether you want to read it to a child, everyone should read this book at least one, and they'll have their own interpretation of it. Next comes Children's Book of the Year Sunday Times winner, Neil Gaiman's Fortunately the Milk, illustrated by Chris Riddell, and it says Anarchically Silly by Metro. So this is the back. So this one is specifically children's book. So I mean, this is whimsical. This does not have a fixed narrative, so to say, but it's a very, very entertaining book for children, and it has artwork on each page because it was meant to be for children. So this is about this one guy who goes out to buy milk, and then he comes back late, and what he tells his children as to what happened. So it's a very interesting book in a way, but this is specifically for children. I mean, there is no other interpretation that I could make out of this book except that it was for children. But as always with Neil Gaiman's work, there is always a what if and maybe associated with this book. And the last book in the slipcase, this is a Carnegie medal winner 2010, Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book. This is another book that I think is meant for both children and adults, because this is about a boy who grows up in a graveyard and this is a fantasy book, by the way, and is cared for by the ghouls and the ghosts and every other supernatural being that is in the graveyard. I love this book. I think this is a very, very good work. So hopefully I can, I'll just, let's see, I'll try to give you the blurb here. Yeah, so hopefully you can pause that and read the blurb there. So, and this is the artwork here. If you have gone through other books containing Chris Riddell's artwork, this is authentic Chris Riddell. I mean, the usual artwork that Chris Riddell does, which is of course fantastic. I have no qualms with it, and I think it was a very interesting book as well. So yeah, there you have 3 books from the slipcase. had to cut it off there. So as I was saying, these are the 3 books from the series, and this is the one with the most amount of artwork in amongst the 3 books, and that's the slipcase, the general hardy good level slipcase. I think this holds up well. It's a good collection. I think you should probably definitely get it if you're a fan of Neil Gaiman, or even if you're not a big fan of Neil Gaiman, because these books represent a very good gateway to get into Neil Gaiman's work. And of course, Chris Riddell is always brilliant with his artwork. And yeah, that's about it. And as always, if you have any comments, anything to say, feel free to comment in the comment section below. And yeah, happy reading.